Silence. The most dangerous weapon is not a sword, not a gun, not even power. The most dangerous weapon is control. Control over your tongue, control over your desires, control over your anger, and most importantly, control over your loyalty. The world does not respect people who talk too much. The world does not respect people who react emotionally to everything. And the world never takes seriously those who become loyal to everyone. Niccolo Machiavelli understood a brutal truth. Humans respect fear more than love. And fear is born when people cannot read you. When they cannot understand what you are thinking, when you will react, or how far you are willing to go. That is the moment you stop being predictable. And the moment you become unpredictable, you become dangerous. Today, we are talking about 4 pillars: silence, discipline, temper, loyalty. Master these 4, and people will think twice before crossing you. It won't matter whether you are physically strong or not. Because true power was never about muscles. True power is psychological. It is the ability to dominate a room without speaking. To make people feel pressure without threats. To command respect without begging for attention. Most people fail because they reveal too much. They speak too much. They explain too much. They trust too fast. They react too quickly. And every reaction reveals information. Every unnecessary word exposes weakness. Every emotional outburst gives your enemy a map of your mind. Understand this: people are always studying you. They watch what triggers you. They watch what hurts you. They watch what makes you angry. They watch what makes you desperate. Then they use that knowledge against you. That is why silence is terrifying. Silence denies access. Silence creates mystery. Silence forces others to guess. And people fear what they cannot understand. Look at the most powerful men in history. They did not waste words. They spoke with precision. Every sentence had weight. Every pause created tension. When a weak man enters a room, he tries to prove himself. He talks loudly. He seeks validation. He wants everyone to notice him. But a dangerous man? He doesn't chase attention. Attention comes to him. Because calmness under pressure is rare. A silent man with discipline feels different. His presence says, "I know more than I show." And that makes people uncomfortable. Because uncertainty creates anxiety. Here is the first law: speak less than necessary. Not because you are shy. Because words are expensive. Every word should serve a purpose. Before speaking, ask yourself, does this increase my power, or reduce it? Most conversations are traps. People ask innocent questions not because they care, but because they want information. Your plans, your weaknesses, your emotions, your intentions. The more they know, the easier you are to manipulate. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. Stop defending every accusation. Stop reacting to every insult. Not every attack deserves a response. Sometimes silence is the most brutal answer. Silence says, "You are beneath my attention." And nothing hurts fragile egos more than our relevance. But silence alone is not enough. Because a silent weak man is still weak. Silence becomes deadly only when combined with discipline. And that is where most people collapse. Discipline is doing what must be done, even when your emotions scream no. Most men are slaves. Not to chains. To impulses. They say, "I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel motivated. I deserve a break." No. That is weakness negotiating. Discipline kills negotiation. You either do it, or you don't. The disciplined man understands something rare: feelings are temporary. Standards are permanent. He does not ask, "How do I feel today?" He asks, "What must be done?" That mindset changes everything. While others chase pleasure, he builds control. While others seek comfort, he embraces discomfort. While others waste time, he sharpens himself. And slowly, he becomes untouchable. Because disciplined people become dangerous over time. Every workout, every hard decision, every resisted temptation, it builds internal power. A power no one can steal. And once you taste that level of control, you stop fearing chaos.
Because discipline creates something priceless: self-trust. Most people do not trust themselves. They make promises to themselves, then break them. They say they will wake up early. They fail. They say they will stay focused. They fail. They say they will control their urges. They fail. And every broken promise sends a message to the subconscious: I cannot rely on myself. That is deadly. Because when you cannot trust yourself, you become mentally weak. A man who betrays himself cannot command respect from others. Read that again. A man who betrays himself cannot command respect from others. Discipline reverses that. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you build authority inside your mind. You become your own commander. And once your mind accepts your authority, your presence changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You decide differently. People notice. They may not understand why, but they feel it. They feel resistance. They feel structure. They feel boundaries. And boundaries are powerful. Weak people have none. They say yes to everyone. They tolerate disrespect. They accept manipulation. Why? Because they fear losing people. But here is a Machiavellian truth from Niccolò Machiavelli. The one who fears losing is already controlled. Neediness destroys power. The moment someone realizes you need them, emotionally, socially, financially, they gain leverage over you. And leverage creates hierarchy. This is why emotional discipline matters. You must train yourself to detach. Not from humanity, from dependency. Care, but do not cling. Respect, but do not worship. Love, but do not surrender your center. A dangerous person can walk away. That is power, because power belongs to the one who needs less. Now we enter the third pillar. Temper. Anger is misunderstood. People think anger is power. It is not. Uncontrolled anger is exposure. The angry person feels strong in the moment, but actually becomes predictable. Once someone knows how to anger you, they own a switch inside your nervous system. And if they control your reactions, they control you. That is why masters control temper. They do not suppress anger. They weaponize it. There is a difference. Suppression means burying emotion until explosion. Mastery means feeling anger, without becoming anger. A dangerous man does not explode over small provocations. He observes. He calculates. He asks, why did this trigger me? Is this worth my energy? Who benefits from my reaction? Most provocations are bait, insults, mockery, disrespect, challenges. Many are designed to pull you into emotional warfare. Why? Because emotional people make stupid decisions. They speak carelessly. They reveal intentions. They attack impulsively. And impulsive people are easy to defeat. Calm people are not. Imagine two men in conflict. One is shouting, breathing heavily, acting aggressively. The other remains calm. Expression unreadable. Voice controlled. Who feels more dangerous? Always the calm one, because calmness during chaos signals superiority. It says, my emotions obey me. That is terrifying. People expect reaction. When they don't get it, they become uncomfortable. They lose rhythm. They lose certainty. They lose power. This is psychological warfare. Silence confuses. Discipline strengthens. Temper stabilizes. Together, they transform you. You stop becoming a puppet of emotion. You stop dancing to other people's provocations. You become centered, cold, precise, strategic, and strategy always defeats impulse. But there is one final pillar, the most misunderstood of all, loyalty. And this one separates kings from fools. Loyalty sounds noble. Society teaches you that loyalty should be unconditional. Stay loyal no matter what. Never leave your people. Always stand by them. Sounds honorable. But in reality, blind loyalty creates slaves. Strategic loyalty creates power. This is where most people destroy themselves. They give loyalty too cheaply. To friends who secretly envy them. To partners who manipulate them. To groups that only value obedience. To bosses who exploit devotion. And they call it virtue. It is not virtue. It is surrender. Niccolò Machiavelli understood human nature better than most. He knew something uncomfortable. People are loyal until loyalty becomes inconvenient. Think carefully. How many people around you are truly loyal to you? Not to your usefulness. Not to your resources. Not to your status. To you. Very few. Most relationships operate on exchange. Value for value. Attention for validation. Support for access. Loyalty for security. The moment the balance changes, masks fall. That is why you must test loyalty. Never trust words. Observe patterns. Words are cheap. Promises are cheap. Oaths are cheap. Behavior is truth. Who stays when you have nothing to offer? Who respects boundaries? Who protects your name when you are absent? Who remains consistent when there is no reward? That is where loyalty reveals itself. Weak men confuse attachment with loyalty. Just because someone stays around you does not mean they are for you. Sometimes enemies stay closest. Why? Access. The closer they are, the more they learn. Your weaknesses, your habits, your emotional blind spots. And once they understand your inner world, they can influence it. That is why access must be earned. Not everyone deserves closeness. Not everyone deserves your trust. Not everyone deserves your inner circle. A king does not give access to everyone. He controls proximity. He decides who enters. Because proximity creates influence, and influence shapes destiny. Be careful who you allow near your mind. Some people do not attack directly. They poison slowly, with doubt, with subtle disrespect, with disguised negativity, with emotional manipulation. At first, it feels small. A joke, a comment, a little criticism, but repeated over time, it erodes confidence. That is psychological infiltration, and most people never notice it. Because betrayal rarely arrives with warning. It arrives wearing familiarity, a smile, a friendly voice, a trusted face. That is why loyalty must be intelligent. Give respect, but verify character. Offer kindness, but watch consistency. Show warmth, but maintain boundaries. A dangerous man is not heartless. He simply understands human nature. He knows love without awareness becomes vulnerability. He knows kindness without boundaries becomes exploitation. He knows loyalty without standards becomes self-destruction. So he creates rules. Simple rules. If someone lies repeatedly, distance. If someone disrespects boundaries, distance. If someone only appears when they need something, distance. No drama, no emotional speeches, just distance. Because silence is not only for enemies. Sometimes silence is how you leave. Quietly, cleanly, without explanation, without revenge, without chaos. That confuses people. Because most expect emotional closure. They expect arguments, explanations, begging, anger. But strategic people understand something rare. Not every exit requires a speech. Sometimes your absence is the message. And that message can be louder than words. When people lose access to you, they feel your value. When your energy disappears, the vacuum speaks. This is another Machiavellian law. Scarcity creates value. Availability destroys mystery. If everyone has easy access to you, your presence loses weight. If you are always available, always responding, always explaining, people stop respecting your time. Stop being overly accessible. Protect your attention. Protect your energy. Protect your focus. Because attention is power. And wherever attention goes, power flows. That is why manipulation often begins with distraction. Keep someone emotionally triggered, and they become easier to control. Keep them angry. They stop thinking clearly. Keep them desperate. They become obedient. Keep them addicted to validation. They become dependent. This is how invisible control works. No chains, no prison, just emotional dependency, and the victim believes he is free. That is the most dangerous prison of all. A prison where the prisoner loves his cage. Most people live there, controlled by approval, controlled by desire, controlled by fear of rejection. They call it normal life. It is not. It is psychological slavery. The untouchable person breaks that system. He no longer needs constant validation. He no longer reacts to every opinion. He no longer seeks permission to become powerful. He becomes internally sovereign, and that changes everything. Because once you govern yourself, very few can govern you. Internal sovereignty is rare. Most people think they are free. But watch closely. A single insult ruins their day. A single rejection destroys their confidence. A single opinion changes their decisions. Is that freedom? No. That is external control. Your emotions are being remotely controlled by other people's actions. That means your internal kingdom has no king. Anyone can walk in and take the throne. A Machiavellian mind understands this. Before controlling the outer world, you must control the inner world. Your mind is territory. Every thought that enters it either strengthens you or weakens you. So ask yourself, who owns your mind? Social media? Friends? Enemies? Lust? Fear? Anger? Or you? Most people never audit their inner environment. They allow random voices to shape identity. They absorb opinions. They absorb negativity. They absorb weakness. Then they wonder why they feel powerless. Because power begins with filtration. Not everything deserves entry. Not every opinion deserves consideration. Not every voice deserves mental space. Guard your mind like a fortress. A fortress does not leave its gates open. It chooses what enters. The same must be true for you. Be careful what you consume. Because consumption becomes programming. The music you hear, the videos you watch, the conversations you entertain, the people you admire, all of it shapes your nervous system. Slowly, silently. Powerful manipulation rarely feels violent. It feels normal. That is why it works. Poison tastes harmless in small doses. Weakness enters the same way. One compromise, one excuse, one act of cowardice. then another, then another. Soon weakness becomes identity, and identity becomes destiny. That is why discipline must be ruthless. Not cruel, ruthless. There is a difference. Cruelty harms others for pleasure. Ruthlessness cuts weakness without hesitation. A king who cannot make hard decisions loses the kingdom. The same applies to your life. Sometimes growth requires elimination. Old habits, old identities, old relationships, old excuses. Kill what weakens you. Protect what strengthens you. Simple, but difficult. Why? Because the mind loves comfort. Even painful comfort feels safe. That is why people remain in toxic circles. They prefer familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. That is tragic, because transformation demands death, not physical death, psychological death. The old version of you must die. The needy version, the reactive version, the emotional slave, the approval seeker, the impulsive boy. He must die so the sovereign man can emerge. And death is painful, because identity resists replacement. You may feel lonely. Good. Loneliness reveals dependency. You may feel misunderstood. Good. Misunderstanding reveals attachment to approval. You may feel resistance from others. Good. Resistance often appears when you stop being controllable. People loved the old you because the old you was easy. Easy to guilt. Easy to manipulate. Easy to predict. Now, you are changing. You pause before reacting. You observe before trusting. You think before speaking. That unsettles people, because control is slipping from their hands. And when people lose control over you, many will call you cold. Let them. The world often labels boundaries as arrogance. It labels discipline as obsession. It labels silence as ego. Ignore labels. People judge what they do not understand. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming selective. Selective with words. Selective with trust. Selective with emotion. Selective with loyalty. Selection creates power. Undisciplined access creates chaos. Remember this. Every kingdom has borders. Without borders, there is invasion. Without boundaries, there is exploitation. Your boundaries are borders. Defend them. Not with noise. With certainty. A simple no can reveal more power than 1,000 explanations. Weak people over-explain. Powerful people decide. They understand something dangerous. Explanation is often negotiation. And unnecessary negotiation signals uncertainty. Certainty changes perception. Even silence can communicate certainty. A stare, a pause, a controlled expression. That is nonverbal power. The strongest predator in the room is rarely the loudest. It is usually the one observing, studying, calculating, waiting, because patience is power. Impulsive people rush. Strategic people wait. And waiting creates advantage. Patience gives you something most people never possess, timing. And in power, timing is everything. Say the right thing at the wrong time, and you lose. Make the right move too early, and you expose yourself. Attack too late, and the opportunity dies. A Machiavellian mind understands this deeply. Power is not just about action. It is about precise action. The disciplined mind waits, observes patterns, reads motives, studies weaknesses, then moves with intention. No wasted motion, no emotional chaos, only calculated force. This is why untouchable people feel dangerous. Not because they are violent, because they are controlled. And controlled power is terrifying. Anyone can scream. Anyone can react. Anyone can lose control. Very few can remain calm while everyone else collapses. That calmness creates dominance. Imagine chaos around you. People panicking. People gossiping. People betraying each other. People acting from fear. And there you are. Silent. Disciplined. Emotionally stable. Loyal only to what deserves loyalty. Who controls that environment? The calm one. Always. Because emotional storms blind others. But not you. You see clearly. And clarity is power. This is what most people never understand. The ultimate flex is not money. Not status. Not followers. It is emotional invulnerability. When insults cannot shake you. When temptation cannot control you. When praise cannot intoxicate you. When betrayal cannot destroy you. That is freedom. Real freedom. Not freedom to do anything. Freedom from being controlled. That is the final evolution. You stop asking, how do I make people like me? And start asking, how do I master myself? That question changes destiny. Because the man who masters himself becomes difficult to manipulate. Difficult to intimidate. Difficult to tempt. Difficult to break. Untouchable. And here lies the final Machiavellian truth from Niccolò Machiavelli. The world respects strength, but strength is not noise. Strength is restraint. Strength is choosing silence when words are useless. Strength is choosing discipline when pleasure calls. Strength is choosing calm when anger burns. Strength is choosing loyalty only where loyalty is earned. Master silence, because mystery creates fear. Master discipline, because control creates authority. Master temper, because calmness creates dominance. Master loyalty, because boundaries create respect. Do this long enough, and something strange happens. People stop testing you. Manipulators avoid you. Users fear you. Liars become uncomfortable around you. Why? Because they sense structure. They sense standards. They sense a man who cannot be easily controlled. And predators hate difficult prey. Become that difficult prey. Become unreadable. Become disciplined. Become strategic. Speak less. Observe more. Trust slowly. React carefully. Move like someone with nothing to prove and everything under control. In a world full of noise, be silence. In a world full of weakness, be discipline. In a world full of emotional chaos, be calm. And in a world where loyalty is cheap, make yours expensive. That is how you become untouchable. That is how you become dangerous. That is how you rule, without begging, without chasing, without explaining. Rule yourself, and the world will feel it.